Hey everybody, this is Faye Renee. Welcome back to Movie Reviews with Faye Renee. Today we're going to review Judy. Now, I couldn't resist saying it. Judy. No, Cary Grant never really said that. We all thought he did. He didn't. Just comedians, Gomer Pyle and such making fun of him. Hey everybody, it's that time. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. You only subscribe once. Hit the red subscribe button and check the little bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop a new video. Let's get this going. Judy. Judy was directed by Robert Gould and written by Tom Edge. It was based off the musical written by Peter Quilter called End of the Rainbow, and that was way back in 2005. It went to Broadway in 2012. So here we are now with the movie Judy, which is a biographical drama of Judy Garland's life. It stars the great Renee Zellweger as Judy. The movie takes place during Judy Garland's last big 5-week engagement. It was at a club in London called Talk of the Town. And it also centers on another time period that it flashes back to that's pinnacle in her life, back to when she was a young girl working at MGM Studios under the very close guise of Louis B. Mayer. All of this, as I said, takes place in 1968. Now I have to say, I was so excited. I said, oh, finally a movie about Judy Garland. I love Judy Garland. So I was so hyped up to see this movie and learn all the juicy details of her life. But baby, let me tell you, I was really taken aback. I was saddened and I was angry at all of the things that had transpired in her life, even if they were just partially true, but I think they mostly were true. And they brought it to life vividly in living color, and I was really shaken up by it. Judy's childhood, her entire life, her youth, was controlled by the old Hollywood misogynistic rule of the land, from all of the big boys in charge. Every tactic they could use, they used just to keep Judy in line so she could keep being a big office box return for MGM as a little girl. But Renee Zellweger was perfect for this role. I can't think of anyone who could have pulled it off quite as well as Renee. Renee had the looks, the diminutive stature, she had the voice, and she even had the singing chops. Renee used her own voice, and she did a very good job mimicking or singing Judy Garland's song. I was really wowed. Didn't know she had all that talent. In the flashbacks, the young Judy Garland is portrayed by a great actress named Darcy Shaw. She did a wonderful job. So as the story goes, we find out that Judy has literally been working from the young age of 2, some say 2.5, some say 4, through age 47. My God. So basically her entire life she spent preparing for a performance or performing. And during that time, I don't know how she worked it in. She interlaced in 5 failed marriages and 3 children. However, it wasn't all bad. In the film, they portrayed her as a very good person. She seemed like a kind person, a loving mom, and a gentle person. But Judy had major problems. She was on uppers and downers daily to just get through the day. And unfortunately, this behavior caused her to eventually lose her 2 children, and probably had a lot to do with most of the marriages failing too. But I know she lost custody of the 2 children by her 3rd marriage to Sidney Luft. And those 2 kids were Lorna and Joey Luft. Liza Minnelli was the eldest, as everybody knows. That was by her 2nd marriage. And Liza Minnelli's character was played by Gemma Leah Devereaux. And she did a pretty good job, but she only had a really little short screen time. Because evidently during that period of Judy's life, towards the end when she was doing in London, and she stopped by and she saw her daughter, Liza had her own career and it was busting out all over. By my calculation, Liza was about 22, so her career was skyrocketing at that time. So they were just in 2 different worlds. And Lorna at that time, from what I heard, Lorna Luft, the younger girl, had taken over making sure mom wasn't so drugged out all the time. But as I said, she ended up losing Lorna anyway, and Joey. I read in a couple of places that Liza was not happy about her mother's portrayal in this film, and I can understand that. So for most of her life, it seems, Judy suffered from major substance abuse, alcoholism, mental illness, and a couple of tries at suicide. She was a wreck. The flashbacks in the film to her youth are very intriguing, but they're also very disturbing. It told quite the tale. You could obviously see this woman had, this young girl had a eating disorder, amongst other problems. It was a shame. She clearly had an aversion towards food because she was taught not to eat. Do not gain weight or you will lose your job. It was ridiculous. She was literally starving. And L.B. Mayer had a team at MGM that kept track of her. You know, they kept tabs on her and they made sure of what she ate and couldn't eat. And they also made sure to give her a daily diet of pills and barbiturates, you know, to uppers to get her up and downers to make sure she gets some sleep. It was ridiculous what they did to this child. I thought the character L.B. Mayer, played by Richard Cordero, was a little Svengali-like. He had that Harvey Weinstein thing going on. You could feel it. It was more than controlling Judy because he could. Because I read her mother was a stage mother and her mother made no objection. So Judy was free, you know, just free access. She had no protection. So it looked like a little bit more than a boss worker relationship, which it shouldn't have been. It was total child abuse. So Judy finally thought she'd get married and get out everything at age 19. That's not in the movie, but that's what I found out. I thought you should know. So she married at age 19. So she still was working with MGM. By this time, the damage had been done. 18-hour days, the constant pills to go get up and to go to sleep, and the alcoholism. She was not a steady Freddie. She started developing a terrible reputation in Hollywood as someone that you couldn't work with, hard to deal with. You know, I guess, you know, how could she be in that state? So finally, with ups and downs and being broken and broke, and she couldn't find a job, she thought she'd take this London gig, this 5-week job in London, at a little club called Talk of the Town. And that's where the movie takes place at. So, nice club. Okay. Talk of the Town, they liked her there and they were very forgiving. She had a huge following there. So she took the gig. Matter of fact, it was her last huge gig in 1968. At the Talk of the Town gig, the film clearly shows how Judy just could not get out of the drug and substance abuse, alcohol, mental depression trap she was in. She was at the end of the line. She didn't always perform adequately, and some days she didn't show up at all. And then there were a few times she had a really good performance, but it was not great. Unfortunately, about a year later, on June 22nd, 1969, Judy Garland died of an accidental overdose, taking that stuff every day. That's really sad. So, last thoughts. This movie made me a little bit angry. It was nice to find out what happened to Judy, but it wasn't, because it was all about her years of child endangerment and abuse. She was a hell of a performer. I think she's one of the greatest performers that ever lived on stage. And I think she could have still been as great or greater without all the drugs and all of the pushing her around and abusing her in what ways we don't even know. Because I don't think during that era, women like that, they never talked. There was no Me Too. But I think L.B. Mayer was a pig, and I could tell he was. And while her daughter, Liza Minnelli, may not be an advocate for this film, I thought, thanks to Renee Zellweger's winning performance of her mom, Judy, Judy was presented in a most sympathetic light as possible. Despite all the bullshit, that she had to endure, she was a strong woman, and she seemed like a great woman, and she survived as much as possible during that era. I highly recommend Judy. I believe there's an Oscar nod in there for Renee Zellweger, and J-Lo, you need to look out. You got heavy competition with this. I give Judy a 4.5 out of 5. Next time I'll see you at the movies. This is Faye Renee. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoy movie reviews with Faye Renee. please hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you next time at the movies.